Hello, everybody, and welcome into another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing the confusingly titled Wolf Man, 2 words, Wolf Man, by Mr. Lee Winnell. Joining me tonight, first up from Manhattan, New York City, please welcome John Schnars to the show. Is that stilted enough for you, John?
Are you indicating that Wolfman should be one word? Like, I'm actually not sure where you're going with
I
this,
actually would prefer that it was wolf, comma, man. Like, wolf, man.
Wolf man.
I think they really missed an opportunity there.
Wolf.
Or would you
exclamation
prefer
point,
like a Herb
man.
Wolfman?
Just like a beat.
Well, I want a wolf ellipses man interrobang. I feel like that's
Just like, man. Like they're processing the wolf.
man.
Yeah. Next up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And last up tonight from the Bay Area of San Francisco, please welcome Rachel to the show.
Hello.
First theater watch of 2025 for the old BGH crew.
Woo.
I brought and ate pistachio nuts with me in the theater, John. I did wait
movie
till the
snack.
movie got louder. If that helps.
What did you do with the shells? Are you one of the?
I had a
was it
little
shell
container.
free?
I had a little piece of Tupperware, and then I just put them right
Wow.
back in.
Were you
That's-
hand peeling or spitting? Did you have a spittoon of shells?
Spitting? What
Like,
do you
are
mean
you putting them in your
spitting?
mouth and like spitting out the shells?
That's
You know, like,
psychotic. Who would do
Rachel,
that?
who does that?
I don't know.
I don't
Who's
have
bringing
iron-
pistachios to the movie?
I don't have
Hold on, they're
iron
not
teeth,
sunflower
Rachel.
seeds.
Well, I don't know.
No.
I don't know how. I'm not trying to tell you how to live. I just have questions.
Pistachio
Pistachio
shells
seed is
would destroy
very
your
hard.
goddamn teeth.
Yes.
Okay, that you can't just raw dog a pistachio into your mouth.
Yeah, but
and-
they're kind
Well,
of
sort
open,
it out
right? So you
with
could
your
kind
teeth.
of
Yeah.
like tease it out. You know, you could like
no, I
worry
think
it
it
out
would
of the
destroy
shell.
your teeth.
It would be either that or it would require like tongue dexterity of superhuman levels.
Well, I mean, John, how do you know I
I'm
don't
not
have
trying
tongue
to,
dexterity?
no, that's true. I've never measured it, and I shouldn't judge. You're
Well,
right.
I mean, I could see Eric
yourself
tying
a bag
knot
of
in a cherry
pistachios.
stem, but I don't know about Schnars.
catch a matinee. Spittoon in hand. Let's see how it goes.
Dude, no, listen. I kept all my guard. I brought it out what I brought in, and that's the important part.
That's very
Um,
advanced. I feel like so many people would just be fucking dropping those on the ground.
I'm not a
so-
savage, John. I just want
No,
a
I
snack.
know. You're a civilized man. So
You're in there like a raccoon
I
breaking
just
open
have low
nuts.
blood sugar. Little raccoon hands. All right. Let's do it. Let's take a quick break and review Wolf, man.
Took a turn.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
Spoiler alert, John. The wolf is trauma. We can just end the show now. That's kind of it. It's just trauma.
okay, sure. We can problematize that a little bit. Eric.
This movie was about 3 clicks away from a character looking into the camera and being like, "It's trauma," and then just like fiend. Anyway, John, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is depilated. Depilated. That's D-E-P-I-L-A-T-E-D. Depilated has one definition, which I love: having the hair removed. Depilated.
Depolated.
It's an I, but depilated. Comes to us from the Latin pilus, which means hair. And you get the D and you get the pilus.
Depilated. That's how it's spelled. Yeah.
Depilated. Yeah.
Depilated.
Depilated, depilated. Sure.
We must have gotten it in there somewhere, correct?
Yeah, it's, so yeah, depilated. Deep, sure.
What does that have to do with this
depilated.
movie?
Well, this is a werewolf movie, if you couldn't tell by the title. There's a wolf and a
I
man,
can.
and sometimes It's the same being.
Sometimes the twain meet.
The twain shall meet. They sure do. Here's the thing: this Wolfman is based on legends and a disease ? And so you don't really look like a wolf. You look kind of like a hairless.
Like a leper a little bit. It's a leper vibes, I feel like.
Well, it's like you get hair
Oh,
where you didn't have hair before, but you lose the hair on your head and your like mouth gets weird.
I can top line this for you. Somebody saw
sure.
The Fly a bunch and really liked it, and that's where all the effects in this movie, like cheap imitations of The Fly, basically. He's like oozing and like his teeth are coming out, and it's like
I
gross.
feel like you owe Cronenberg an apology for even making that comparison.
I'm not saying they made The Fly. I'm just saying like
it is a transformation akin to if The Fly and a Wolfman, came together.
good stuff. Yeah.
But it did. So it involves hair losing and then hair gaining. So yeah.
Sometimes
there's depilation. Depilation.
Just Deep Island, yeah.
Yeah, they're depiling for sure.
Tell me about the movie.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, comes to us from Lee Winnell. This is the directorial follow-up to The Invisible Man. Both famous Universal monsters. We've talked over the many years about Universal trying to sort of like reboot the monsters. They effectively gave, I actually don't know the full backstory, but my sense, based on the output, they basically gave Blumhouse, and through Blumhouse, Lee Winnell, the sort of rights to say, go to town, do as you will with these. And so you get Invisible Man. That was 21. I had it in front of me. It was 2020. Sorry. It was a pandemic watch for me. That's how I remember it. So Invisible Man, and then Wolfman, follow up. I think I would say very much in the same vein, where you're taking this sort of canonical IP and very much trying to modernize it, but not like modernize it in the sense that like Universal had tried to modernize all these monsters with mostly disastrous results. Here, it's like, how do you make this feel current and real? And so you get, who do we have? We have Julia Garner and Christopher Abbott. They're playing Blake and Charlotte. They are a married couple. They have a daughter, Ginger. They are both creative types living in the Pacific Northwest.
San Francisco, baby.
Oh, you're right. They are in San Francisco when the movie started. No, you're right. Because she's like a
Erasure.
Yeah, she's like a journalist. There's like, whether or not it was shot in San Francisco, you could see that like triangle building in the background of a couple shots, so
The stock, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I should say the movie opens with the Christopher Abbott character, Blake. You basically get this like 15-minute preamble to the movie where you see young Blake. He's probably like 8 to 10 years old, living with his father, who's sort of a survivalist type, in a farm in Central Oregon, sort of what is now survivalist type country in Oregon, I think. And it's beautiful, but they sort of like live this like semi off the grid life, farm animals. He's like CB radio communicating with people. We see a scene where they're out hunting, and a creature who walks on two legs and is aggressive toward them, they have this interaction and they survive it. And then we sort of like fast forward to 30 years later. Now Christopher Abbott's an adult. He's living in San Francisco. Him and his wife are having problems. They get a letter that the dad dies. They're now going to go and basically clean out his house, but maybe spend some time there for the summer and like see if they can like get their lives back on track. And she's going to write a book, and he's going to do whatever. And he's the primary parent. He's been parenting the daughter, and that's like the tee up. On their way to this house, they basically get attacked by a creature walking on two legs in the woods while they're in this moving van, and the rest of the film happens over the course of 24 hours or less, like 3 hours over the course of that night, where Blake, the father, has gotten a cut, and so he's been attacked and like been wounded by this animal and is starting to like transform. And there's this sort of interplay of like the family. Is he going to hurt them? Can he like retain his humanity enough to not kill his child? But there's also the actual wolf person out in the woods that is trying to get into their house and actually hurt them. So yeah, Wolfman, it turns out, is a ruse because there's wolfmen.
There's
Love it.
Wolfmans.
There's wolfman
Men.
or men in this movie.
Rachel, what did you think of this movie?
Well, I can tell by the temperature of this room that might be alone in saying some positive things about this film. I feel
I have
mixed.
positive things to say.
Okay,
Not
good.
on the
All
whole,
right.
but I have some things to say.
Fair. I feel, and when I say that, it's because I feel like this is definitely one of those cases where we're like talking about two different movies, in the same film. On one hand, there's, as you said, this sort of family drama that explores ideas of like modern parenting and toxic masculinity and generational trauma, and fears of becoming your father and fears of recognizing these toxic masculine traits within yourself. And then there's this other monster movie that's like a mix of body horror and home invasion. And I think that the second film is the more successful of the two, and is kind of dragged down by the former film, which is kind of a bummer because I do think there are some really interesting ideas and themes and interesting, like, there's an attempt being made at having some interesting commentary about like dad issues and masculinity.
I agree.
But it's just so underwritten and so reliant on cliches that it just does not get to that like place of depth or tragedy that it's trying to, despite a really strong cast. Julia Garner totally sidelined, totally wasted in this, and it's a shame. And I think there are some really cool like horror elements to this, which is another bummer because there's some use of perspective that I thought was really interesting. There is some just like classic set pieces, like tense set pieces that really worked for me. Like the spider thing I found quite creepy, or the way that it expresses his loss of language I thought was a unique and interesting way to tackle like a
The
transformation
visual
scene
part of it,
internally.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it marries the
The
internal
like camera
transformation
spin
with the
and
external.
I like the little
Yeah.
effects of the like wolf dog vision. Like,
Yeah.
I was with that.
So I mean, I think I'm mostly just disappointed at the loss of potential because I can see the movie in this movie that this movie could be, and it doesn't quite get there. But it's also not the worst. It's not terrible. I don't know. I feel very mixed.
I just wanted to hear Julia Garner go, "You're gonna have to fucking kill me." Like in I don't know if you guys saw Ozark, but that's her classic line. Casey.
Yeah, so ultimately, my opinion of this movie was this was aggressively okay. I didn't hate this movie. I didn't love this movie. I thought there was some good elements in here, and I think there was, the thread of a good movie in here. But again, it wasn't terrible. I really liked the first act. For me, as we get into the second act and we start to get into the family drama and they move to the house, it really became predictable. Ultimately, like to Rachel's point that it was underwritten. I mean, from the moment that Blake gets his envelope from UPS and he reads out that they never found his dad's body and the state's declaring him dead, you're like, okay, here we go. And they don't really steer you away from that at all, and they don't hide it. Well, I'll take that back. They did hide it well, because that's one of the things I liked. Like the first part of that second act, they did a great job with the classic monster formula of not showing your monster. I really liked that we got bits and pieces and glances at it, and we didn't see it full on for a while. I appreciate that. There's a couple good scares in here. There's one at the end of the second act that I really, it got me good, which I'm not big, jump scares don't get me that much, but this one got me really well. But that second half to me really felt flat. Exactly like Rachel said, Julia Garner's wasted in this movie. And she also has the magic power of understanding what's going on every time something happens to Blake and his condition changes. She looks at him for a minute and then she says, "Oh, I think you got infected by what your dad or what the wolf had." and, and a lot of that magic going on there to, try to trim this down. And it really made it feel pretty flat and empty. One scene. The last thing is, I'm not in love with the monster work here, the monster design. I like parts of it. The close-up stuff I think was good, but as you got out to see it as a whole running through the woods, it got kind of goofy, and I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I liked the original Wolfman that was there a little bit better. He had a sweet ponytail and the beard and stuff going. He looked a little bit more wolfy. Blake, not so
Yeah.
much.
John Schnars.
Yeah, I feel very similarly. I think Lee Winnell is talented, and he's obviously done a ton, and it felt like, and I even feel like this from the trailer, they wanted to try to do the Invisible Man thing again, and
Yeah, make it, take this kind of classic character and make a film with it that feels elevated beyond what you might expect.
yeah, and that's like a personal story, right? Like that,
And they did that by making a film about domestic violence last time, basically.
yeah, and it worked really, really well. This just like it doesn't look. You guys hit on a lot of the point. The thing that I would say, so we had talked in past episodes about, I feel like they showed the whole movie in the trailer. We can talk about, and because Rachel, I think maybe it was the last week or 2 weeks, or whenever the last episode, you were sort of saying like, well, the hope is that they're holding out something out. And they like sort of did that like a little bit, not enough in my opinion. Like I still feel like you got everything you needed to from the trailer in this movie. But the thing that I was most surprised about is that Blake is the main character, because it's a kind of insane decision to spend so much time with Blake in the beginning of the film, and then he's going to basically within the first 45, like before the halfway point, he is no longer able to even speak. Like somewhat of a spoiler, but like once he's infected, he can't. The first symptom of turning into a wolf is like you can't communicate anymore. So it takes like, you have this main character who I think Christopher Abbott is the actor's name. Like he's doing work here. Like he's really, really trying. I love him as an actor. Love him in Possessor. He's in Poor Things. Like he's in great stuff, and he like does great work. I'm like a fan. He's like really trying, and it's like it's hard. Like he's not able to carry this thing in the way. And so you guys were mentioning that Julia Garner's wasted. The movie basically has to make her the main character, but only for the third act. And so at that point, you're sort of like asked to make this transition from Blake to her. And like, it just does not work really, because we don't know anything about her other than
so underwritten.
Yeah. Other than that she's the wife of this guy. Like we know a lot about him and we know almost nothing about her. And
She's
maybe
a
that's
working gal
toxic.
who can't balance her home life.
Maybe
Never
that's toxic
seen one of those
masculinity.
before.
Yeah, I know, I don't know. But I like, it's just
Real
like a
City
weird
Slicker
thing.
vibes with that flannel she had on.
I didn't mention it,
Kinda
like,
rugged.
and maybe, I don't know if you guys clocked this. So there's two credited writers in this film. It's Lee Winnell and then his wife.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like, it's her first writing credit. And I don't know, like, so they were definitely trying to do something that was like family oriented. And like, that is what this, look, it's a, where this movie goes and like what, Blake's journey is, if we stick with him as the main character. And then, Julia Garner and Ginger, it's a family movie, right? But it just does not work at the level that Invisible Man worked.
So
I don't know.
I agree with Rachel that there is something happening here with a 2 movie kind of feel, but for me, it's the first act and then everything that comes after it. I actually think the first act, I would say it's really good on a couple levels. And in the first act, as they're kind of starting to reveal the sort of like character themes, I'm very into the beginning of it. My problem is that we just keep hammering it over and over. And when I immediately can look over and be like, I was with someone in the movies, and I looked over and I was like, "It's his fucking dad, isn't it?" The second we saw them in the fucking get trapped right into that house, it's the fucking dad. The wolfism is trauma. Like it's all by the time from the moment that door shuts, this movie shits the bed. It just does. Like everything it's trying to do, it ham-fists it into your fucking face. There's no subtlety left. It's just missing in all cylinders. But there's a moment in the first act that actually elicited like an emotional response from me because I am the target audience for this. Like I am a girl dad, and like they do a great job of setting up this idea that like, you know, when you go to therapy and you're trying to work through your trauma so that you can kind of like be better for your kids, right? What you don't understand about being a parent until you're in it is that when you watch your kids do shit and you feel triggered, it's because it's bringing you back to your childhood. And you start the old, you know, previous generations would joke about this, like, oh, you're starting to sound like your father. And it's like, yeah, I know, but it's not good. Like the whole point of going to therapy, right, and learning your shit is you want to be different. But they illustrate this perfectly because they show like his dad being so overbearing about his safety in like now in the movie universe, there's a fucking wolf man, so I understand. But his dad's being very intense and weird in a way that a kid doesn't understand about don't wander. That whole scene where he wanders away. The movie actually juxtapositions that perfectly with we're in New York City. The daughter jumps up on the pylon. She's right by traffic.
San Francisco.
Oh, were they not? Okay, whatever. We're in the city.
It's just urban environment.
That's fine.
I don't know.
But like they justify those two things
Sorry,
perfectly.
Rachel.
Where then we see this all play out. She gets in danger. He gets triggered. He gets aggressive with her. He immediately just shame spirals. I'm very familiar with this. And then he, you know, but he sits with her and but he catches himself in the moment. He's got a level of self-awareness. He sits with her. He's like, I'm sorry. That's not how, you know, like whatever. To me, that was really beautiful because whoever wrote that is a person who is trying to deal with their own shit. And I really appreciate that. And I can appreciate it as a theme that we want to weave through the movie. The problem is that, and I always say this, if you want to make movies that are with themes this heavy, it still has to be about the story and the plot. It can't be about the fucking message so hard that that's all you're getting. And that's kind of all when we get into the house, it happens again. Like after he's starting to go wolfy, he snaps at her and he has the same conversation with her again. And I was like, oh no, guys, like we did this. I fucking got it because I'm not stupid. Please don't do this again. But then it's the whole movie. Like the whole plot is just all about this shit. You know, immediately the wolf is the father. You know, immediately wolfism is trauma. And they just keep banging you over the head with it for the whole goddamn movie. And it's a bummer because like that moment legitimately made me emotional. And then the rest of the first act is great. Like it's very tense. They drive out. They meet this like unnecessarily off-puttingly creepy dude in the forest. It's
who
silly.
Is summarily murdered. Like he's murdered. He's in 10 seconds of the movie. Yeah.
Like that stuff is great. Like her, you know, they're playing against like her city slicker vibes. He's a country dude. The way he kind of forces the way into the car, he's like, oh hell no, you know. And her like her mothering instincts kick in, and she's like, oh, I'll sit in the back. Like I actually think that's some like interesting character stuff. It's very tense. Then the chase, like the Wolfman runs down the road. They crash. We get this like Jurassic Park moment, right, where they're like hanging from the tree. I thought all that stuff was fantastic. And I was expecting that same thing to kind of carry out through the movie. I was thinking like, boy, this escalated so fast. I don't know how they're going to keep this up. And the answer is they can't and they don't, because once they stuff us in that cabin, the just pacing, the momentum, everything just dies, and they don't really fill it in with enough, I don't think, for it to feel satisfying in the end. I also have major beef with the ending, but I can wait on that. We can open the floor.
Yeah. I'm ready to talk about that ending because it is quite bad.
I'm going to get my stupid question out early, and I think it's a valid question. I asked you guys last night, and it plays to John's word of the day. But how did the dad Wolfman have a ponytail and beard, and Blake lost all of his hair?
Well,
I had not thought about that.
We get this, before the movie even starts, you get this title card, text on screen thing, where it's like the Native Americans in this region had this name, and it was like it meant Wolfman or whatever, it was like man with wolf or something like that. And so there's this setup because they call it
got a little wolf in my man.
Yeah, they were like, sometimes the settlers would call it hill fever, but the Native Americans, they called it wolf fever or whatever, so they do have this setup where, well, it's basically like, what we think of as, because there's none of they throw away all the full moon stuff. They throw away all, there's a lot of the pieces.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, you're right.
The silver.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces of the Wolfman mythos that goes away here. Yeah. And so instead you're just left with, it's a disease that makes you basically want to attack, anyone, because it's not just people, it's the deer, the poor deer. And so I don't know, why does one person lose their hair and the other one doesn't? Like, who fucking, they're not worrying too much about that.
Listen, I was bummed.
I was fine with it.
Invisible Man is fantastic. It really is. But Invisible Man is a heavy film about a heavy real issue, but it's all plot. It's all related to the plot, right? So there's no metaphor we've got to just get beaten over the head with, because it's just textual. Like, you can just watch it,
Well, and part of that question though about with the hair and stuff, it is a stupid question, but it does point out the fact, we're talking about, once they get in that house, part of the problem is they've cut out any of the detail in this. It's like an inch deep throughout the entire thing, and usually movies have little Easter eggs and stuff that's going on in between the key scenes to keep it interesting and stuff, and this seems to have excised all that out. Those little details, like the process and stuff like that. The transition process.
Boy, that generator just ran forever.
Yeah, it did.
Didn't it?
Well, and what about the car that starts up? It's like, oh yeah, the battery is dead, but this car that's been fucking sitting here for God knows how long.
American-made vehicle.
Yeah,
because we don't really know for sure how long his dad's been missing, right?
It's long enough.
It could have been a year.
Just that it was a long time.
It's long enough that they assumed he was dead.
Yeah.
And so, no, I mean, Casey, to your point, this is called Wolfman. It didn't need to be called Wolfman. It doesn't, it actually, I think, I hadn't thought about this until you brought this up, but it almost hurts it to be tied to this piece of IP, because in my mind, because I did bring expectations to it.
Yeah.
About all of the werewolf things.
That's interesting. My expectations were purely about Invisible Man. How good I've never seen the original Wolfman. I don't like werewolves that much, so I was kind of whatever on that part
Eric,
of it.
you know what the rules of werewolves are.
Sure. But at no point during the movie did I even think about the silver or moon thing. It's interesting until you guys just brought it up.
I'm with you, Eric, in that the werewolves are not really my thing. I don't I think
I love ginger snaps. It's
yeah,
one and two.
Also, was the daughter being named Ginger a nod to that? I don't know, but I wondered. As I was watching it, I was wondering if that was a little homage.
Oh, had Wolfman on the brain.
I didn't even catch that, but must be right.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
So my point is though that I don't really have any attachment to the lore, so I was perfectly happy with the changes.
Yeah.
I appreciate them branching out. I wonder though, to your earlier point about pacing, I feel like I'd be curious to know what the original script looked like, because I feel like there are all these Easter eggs about the dynamics of their relationship, and I wonder if they just cut all of that because there was a
Right.
pacing issue by like sequestering them in this house.
It's like 2 hours long as it is.
Right, but it
Like
needs
hour
it.
40,
It
yeah.
needs that
Yeah.
because I think
That's what
it
I'm talking about.
loses all of its stakes, like its emotional stakes and depth when it feels so just like chopped down to, like I said, cliches.
Yeah, it's an hour
Everything in
43.
this- Yeah.
You mean, and you're talking specifically about the husband-wife relationship, not
the
the,
husband and wife
father-son.
dynamic, I mean, the whole thing. Like, I feel like you could feel that there's some there that just maybe was excised for pacing, or they needed to let this cook a little bit longer, because there are, I think, in the way
Solid
that
hour
we talk
50
about
could have really.
like modern anxieties. Listen, if it had more Jennifer Garner and like actually made these things matter, I would give it 15 more minutes of my time. I already gave it an hour and 45. If you make me actually care about this, I'll give you a little more time.
Did you say
But-
Jennifer Garner? Because that might have made me care more.
Okay, Julia, but also Jennifer. She could have had a sister. I don't know. But yeah, there's, and then the end. I know I'm skipping ahead, but like this is what I'm talking about. It's so pat. It's so cliche. It's so out of sync with sort of like the nuance that it was going for in the earlier
Yes.
parts of the film. That it just thuds to.
Can I
an
tell you
end.
my beef with the ending? Okay, so like
Yes.
I am now putting myself in the shoes of this film and what it is, with the journey it's trying to take me on. And the journey it's trying to take me on is about trauma, right? And generational trauma and fathers passing it down to sons, etc. But here's a guy who, before he turns wolfy, is actively fighting against his own programming and generational trauma. Like, this is a good guy, in my opinion. Like, he's trying, right?
He's a good dad.
Yeah. So,
Great dad.
but he still gets infected. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to follow that logic. And then in the end, the solution is just to put him down. Like,
Yeah.
I would have, like, the solution is he just gets murdered. And you're like, ah, fuck, sorry. We got to throw him out. Fuck him. Like,
But he volunteers for the kid for the putting down.
But like, I can't square it with what the rest of the movie is showing me. Like, I would have been way happier if they'd found some cheesy ass ending about love saving him in the end or something. Like, it would have tracked more with the rest of the film. It's just hilarious.
They
I
like
was
kept him as a pet.
I was like,
It
they
was
just
like,
fucking
this
put him
is our
down at
wolf
the end.
pet
Like,
now.
what the hell?
Well, now that I
So-
think about it, that we
Holy
talk
shit.
about the little
Sorry,
lack of
I
those
got to
nuggets,
shoot you in the face. That's the only
Those-
solution.
with the lack of those nuggets on them, working on their relationship and how that develops since they introduced that problem and stuff. Another key thing that they've cut out of here in the werewolf stuff is that the werewolf, there's the full moon, obviously, but that meant that the werewolf would change back and forth because they've always changed back and forth to human, which would have given them that opening to where I've got this now. I think my dad had it, and I love you, and we need to fix everything, and they work it out.
Well, so all right. So
If you're
I have
gonna
my
be
thoughts
so
on
literal with your metaphors, to your point, Casey, just go all the way.
I have a lot. I want to come back to the ending, but Casey, to that point, because this is where the werewolf mythos, it's like sort of in use. There's a conversation. I think it's the dad is when he's on the CB radio. He's like, or maybe he's talking to the son. He's like, you got to be careful around these parts at night. And it's like this whole thing about the night is the problem, which again marries to how the werewolf mythos works, but it's not explored. But I was also thinking maybe because this is an interesting part of this movie is that it's like almost real time, or like it's it's an hour 20 minutes.
It
That's
felt like it was all night.
no, exactly. I mean, but I mean, that's it. Like that was like a creative decision that I was like, oh, okay. But I was sort of expecting like, oh, they just need to make it to the end of the night, and like maybe that's the solution here. But you're right. Like it's just just to come back to the ending, because I actually didn't know what part of the ending you guys were going to be complaining about. The final shot is ridiculous. But
Yeah.
I hated that.
Before that, she runs out of this goddamn house. Like her solution is, I'm going to lock him in this barn, and then I'm just going to run into the woods. They're in the fucking middle of nowhere. She would have died in those woods 12 hours later, even if that wolf never got out of the fucking trap that she had him in. Why not burn the barn down when you lock him in the barn? You're going to kill him anyway. Burn the fucking barn down, go back in the house, go to sleep. Like, it's insane.
You're going to sell the
Instead,
farm too, so why not?
She runs into the woods and then just happens to get lucky enough to find the gun. Like, it. I was so like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, they
with
got to
this.
get her. They got to get her back up in the exact same tree stand that he was in as a kid.
I mean,
You understand?
obviously, I get the fucking poetic nature of the situation. I did. here's the
Except
thing.
we know nothing about her character, right? So
No,
like
well,
we
exactly.
don't know
So it
what
doesn't matter.
her journey
Totally.
is. That's why it
Totally.
feels so unearned, because at the end you get this image. She's got the shotgun. It's very like The Last of Us, like the girls next door. It's a silhouette. But I'm like, I don't fucking know anything about her. This is about his journey, which you just ended by shooting him in the goddamn face.
Dude, if you gave me that gun, I'm a city slicker. You gave me that gun, wouldn't even be able to fire it probably.
No,
I
no.
would like jam
And
up or
she's
something.
real
like,
handy with that thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But you saw the flannel, right? She had the
yeah,
flannel.
I know.
Yeah, she
I
had
know.
flannel.
Good call. Good call. You're right.
Yeah,
It's
See, to
coded.
say there is no character building, we did see her switch from a suit to a flannel. So
You're right,
she's on her
dude.
own journey.
Schnars, the only thing we know about her is she's jealous that her husband gets to spend more time with the daughter. That's it.
Yeah, it's.
But
not
they
great.
had that shot at the end, Casey. They and
Oh, I
they
know.
knew
It was all
everything.
better.
They knew everything was going to be good because they were looking at the valley. So
Oh God, that's
Yeah.
right. That's how it ended. I forgot.
Yeah, they're like it's the shots behind them. It's very hero shot from the back, and they're looking out.
I
over
got
the
dizzy
valley.
from how hard my eyes
The
rolled.
same valley that the movie opens up on, where they're
yeah,
just like,
I
it's so
I want to
beautiful.
say one nice thing. I liked him chewing his leg off, and then I liked where he had to run after them with only like
Yeah.
3.
I like the arm thing
I
too
was-
when he
Yeah.
when his arm and when
Yeah.
you start gnawing on his arm. I mean that's a
Good
dog
moments.
thing. I see my dog gnawing on her feet when
Oh,
they're
that's so
itchy or
funny.
something.
I was like, what is he doing? Why is he eating
Yeah.
his arm? It's like
it
Pizza the
just-
Hut in Spaceballs.
Yeah, this is where I'm talking about. Like the horror elements did work for me. There's some good gore in this, and there's some good tense moments. And I'm a jump scare person. Like they get me every time.
Two
This
jump
movie
scares
got
in the
me
first
together.
act. Two jump scares in the first act. Literally, my ass came off the chair. Like, they got me.
Yeah.
But I
Mine
felt like
was the,
half of them were
uh,
in the trailer. I felt like all the jump scares were in the trailer.
I didn't.
I don't
watch
watch
it.
trailers.
my jump
I'll stop
scare
it.
was the window wipers in the truck. When she
That
got
one
the truck
is in
started.
the trailer.
Is it?
That's-
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I watched like
never
the
saw
first
it.
trailers and then haven't been back.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think watching trailers is for the birds, man. It ruins
But that's
everything.
it. Look, it's part of fucking marketing these movies. Like, it's a decision that needs to be made as you're like going out with a movie.
See, I like a teaser, and then I will decide if I'm going to see the movie, and if I am, then I stop watching the trailers. But you know what?
Yeah.
You do you, boo. You do you.
You,
I'm not going to
you
know
and
or
Eric
your
like
trailer
looking at
track.
your phones in the theater or something. I don't even
No,
know.
I'm the weirdo that like closes my eyes and covers my ears.
I used to do that, and then I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to look at my phone and disassociate. Like, I turn it
Yeah.
off when the movie starts. I'm not a savage.
I mean,
so.
look, Eric. We know you're good at not paying attention to what's going on, and that's so it's fine.
yeah, I can think of 3
Sit down.
times tonight.
I've been very lucid tonight. Thank you very much.
Locked in. Locked in.
Locked in. That's right.
Not stilted at all.
Not stilted in the least, Casey. I've been watching it.
I did see on Slack today our buddy Skylar, who asked questions on Threads every week, was complaining because the theater he went to for Wolfman, he was trying to hide his eyes for the companion trailer, but they had the
Oh,
sound
don't
cranked up
watch
so
the
loud he
trailer,
couldn't
yeah.
avoid it.
Try not to spoil that one for yourself.
I've seen the trailer probably 2 or 3 times. I have no idea what the movie's about.
Is
it's
it
like
neon or
There's a
A24?
version that has more. I
It
don't
looks very
remember. Might be
neon.
focus.
I think
I'm not sure.
It looks
I
very
think it's
like
neon.
baby's first A24 movie.
It's. I'm pretty sure it's not A24, but
No.
it is otherwise. Yeah. Yeah.
Word up. Warner Brothers.
Word.
There you go.
Would you recommend Wolfman? Casey?
I would recommend Wolfman on when it hits streaming.
Gary Wolfman? Rachel?
I don't think so.
Oh, this is a Blumhouse movie. That's right.
Yeah.
Joe Ferry's got me in the comments. It's a Blumhouse movie. John?
And yes, I think Blumhouse is getting mid.
I'm gonna say no.
Rachel, did you answer?
I said I don't think so.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry. I
You said that
wanted to
very
love
lowly,
it.
like you didn't want me to hear it.
It makes
No.
me sad. I want to love things.
No, I thought this was gonna be the first banger of the year, but it was not. So here we are. All right, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
Our friend Joe Ferry asking the hard questions. Is Blumhouse officially mid? John,
When
what
was
do you
the
think?
last really good Blumhouse film?
They definitely, it was I think it's been a combination of them falling off somewhat and a lot of other companies kind of aping their style and deal and doing it better in some cases, like that $5 to $10 million, no star, clever script kind of horror.
Well,
they have a lot more
look,
competition because they created a kind of market for it.
But if you go look at the Blumhouse, both let's say last 2 years and then what they've got coming this year, they're really not doing as much of that sort of original IP, low budget stuff. Look, their biggest hits were Five Nights at Freddy's. They've got Five Nights at Freddy's 2 coming. Megan was what you're describing, Eric, but now Megan 2 this year. They've got this movie Drop coming. Did you guys get the Drop trailer? It's not like straight horror. It like looks kind of fun. I don't know. We'll see. But
and they just, man, it's been a weird few years for Blumhouse. Like they so thoroughly boned up the last Halloween
Exorcist.
movie. They just that
The
Exorcist movie
Exorcist
was a
was-
goddamn
yeah.
disaster for them. Like they literally had to fire DGG from it and go back to the drawing board. So like,
well, Flanagan's doing the next one.
yeah, that's crazy. Makes me wonder if just like they sort of got their hands in too many things and bit off more than they can chew and got a little cocky. Because
Didn't they start doing TV and stuff too.
I like Jason Blum,
Yeah,
but you listen to that
they
guy
do a
for
ton of
5
stuff.
minutes and it's like, this is a dude who's high on his own supply. Like, let's be real. I mean, he's from Hollywood, so I get it, but
The bull case is that they've brought in Flanagan and he's doing a bunch of stuff with them right now. And Flanagan's
You know what's-
what's
funny is a couple
Tower, like clear the schedule, sir.
a couple years ago he was on The Last Drive-In, Blum being interviewed, and he sort of like took veiled shots. He didn't say what it was, but he was saying basically like, this was after like Halloween 1. I don't even know if Kills had come out yet. I think this was to promote Kills. And he was like, you know, there's another company out there who's trying to do one of these legacy sequels that's about to, like, he's like, if they do it the way I think they're doing it, it's not going to go well. I'm almost positive he was talking about the Texas Chainsaw sequel that was basically just aping what they did with
which
Halloween.
one?
Well,
The one with the old lady.
he was.
When they just copied Halloween 2016 or 17 or whatever.
Yeah.
But then they just turned around and made the same goddamn mistakes on The Exorcist. So it's like, let's
I
go.
would also
If you're-
argue Halloween Kills.
either learn your mistakes or don't. You know, it's like, I don't know.
What was the Halloween Ends? I was like, what was
Halloween
the last
Ends
one
is
called?
just a travesty. Yeah. All right. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We got one email this evening. John, just be thankful you're not on the internet so you don't have to see the Halloween Ends apologists out there because it's pretty.
Is that what the email's about?
No.
That would be crazy.
No.
They know better.
No, those people know better than to send that shit to me. They know.
Yeah.
They're aware of what they're going to get. This is from Jace. It's clear to me that
Nice.
Eric has always generally disliked werewolf movies that aren't ginger snaps.
Yeah.
I also,
Wow, James.
20 years ago, remember thinking Dog Soldiers was kind of fun.
Dog Soldiers is awesome. Great
Yeah.
movie.
Besides that, what are your picks for best werewolf movie?
American Werewolf in London. Sweet.
I'm cool with that. I'm into that.
Dog Soldiers we talked about.
Oh, Monster
That
Squad.
movie Werewolves Within was
it's
fun.
Monster Squad.
It's
That is
Werewolves
fun.
Within was probably the most recent thing that I saw that was like, okay, cool.
yeah.
I'll throw out the nerdy version, Curse of the Werewolf with Oliver Reed.
Okay.
I have always wanted
Is
to
that
see,
Hammer?
It is.
I have
Yeah,
always
yeah.
wanted to see that French like period piece werewolf movie. I have a feeling like I would fucking
Oh,
love it,
Brotherhood
but I
of the Wolf.
But I
Yeah,
just
that's
never
really
Yes,
got.
that's what I was
sweet.
trying to find that. Yes,
I've
Dude,
never
I
gotten
saw that
around
movie
to
in the
it.
theater in college, and it's sweet. It's a
I
good
wonder if that'd
movie.
be that'd be
You would
fun
like it.
staff pick or something because that's one I've always wanted to watch.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one since it came out either. I need to
Same.
revisit that.
Yeah.
Same, but I remember it being
Okay.
really cool.
I like some of those Underworld movies, John.
Yeah, you do. Ay. Underworld. Those were fucking something else.
Love that Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah. That was Rain Fights, wasn't that the original Rain Fights? I mean, we haven't had a good
No,
Rain
that
No,
was
original
Resident
Rain
Evil.
Fight.
Yeah.
John,
Was
come on.
it?
Original Rain Fight?
Well, I knew it was Resident Evil, but I thought
Mila
it might have actually. Yeah.
and Resident Evil. Did you see,
They
by
did
the way,
mock
her
the,
and her and her husband, her director husband, have taken over some new franchise? Did you see that? I think it's a video game thing. I got a
McGee?
trailer
Sense.
for it before this movie.
No.
Yeah, let's
I
look.
don't know what
Oh
you're talking
well.
about.
It's some other property. It's some other licensed property that they're making into some just trash ass looking action movie.
We should be able to figure this out.
Monster Hunter.
They
think-
did,
Uh,
they did
Oh.
a
No, that's
Monster
20.
Hunter
No,
movie.
that's wait, that's 2020.
Yeah, mine eyes have seen that. I'm sad to report.
Weird. 'Cause I don't see it in her
Did
IMDb.
it get a full release? I remember that getting like it was being advertised, but
Anyway, I saw
Monster?
something with
Yeah.
her.
Monster Hunter,
A terrible action movie. I do not know what it was, but it was before this movie. Also, of course, I was like, all right, cool.
She's got something called
Good
In
times.
the Lost Lands coming out.
Oh,
That has
she's
Dave Bautista
Ukrainian.
in it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I bet it's
She's from Kiev, John.
Kiev.
Okay.
If we've learned nothing from the last 3 years,
I mean, fine.
it's how to pronounce Kiev. So,
That's fine. Fine, John. You're so
Thanks.
worldly, and I'm such
I
a
know.
rube. I'm so
I,
sorry.
I listen to the news once a week. So
Yeah, that's all I got. Casey,
you.
what do we got?
we got one thread out here tonight from our buddy Popcorn.Designs. How is the Monster Squad Wolfman still the coolest looking Wolfman out of all the Wolfmen?
He's yo. I just watched Monster Squad like a week ago. The wolf, all of the monsters in the movie are fucking sick. Like they just nail, and it's really fun too because they were sort of skirting around the copyright, and so they've got to get like a little creative. Like Rachel, I think, have you seen Monster Squad recently?
Yes, I have. Not recently, but like in maybe like 10 years
Do
ago.
you agree with me that the vampire, like the Dracula in the movie, is like a gay icon?
Oh, he's camp.
He's such a queen,
Yeah.
dude. He's incredible.
I wouldn't say that anything about that movie is gay icon because of all the F bombs
Well, no,
that are
of
dropped
course,
in it.
of course,
But,
it's problematic.
but
as
he
well.
is camp.
He's so bitchy. It's hilarious. It's so funny. He's carrying around dynamite. There's an amazing scene where Wolfman gets exploded by dynamite, and then all of his fucking limbs just like come back together. Dude, Monster Squad fucks, and it really is a good Wolfman. Great design.
is Cat People a Wolfman movie? Probably not. That's another.
I mean, it's a
also- I haven't
wear
seen-
film. Like,
Yeah.
depends on how far we want to stretch it.
See, it's like a
Because
weird
I would take up for cat people.
So that's. I was thinking back to the earlier.
I watched the OG Wolfman last night after I got home. Still good movie. It's pretty
It's
good.
solid.
Eh,
I saw it in college, so it's been a long time. Lon
guys-
Chaney,
Yeah.
right?
You guys
Yep.
know I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
It's only 70 minutes, Eric.
Yeah, Eric, you could pound it out.
I don't think I could, but thank you.
That's
I
good. It's got Lon
appreciate that
Chaney,
vote
too.
of confidence, John.
How about we had the Benicio del Toro one? We covered that on the pod. Then there was the Jack Nicholson Wolf. Remember Wolf?
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was something. It's good
I think
time.
I
must
saw
have
that
been,
in
right?
theaters.
Damn.
That was a sexy time, wasn't it? Wasn't that when they were
Yeah.
it was sort of like a
was a se-
90 late 90s like
That was a sexy time, right?
we're doing like sexy thriller with Wolfman now.
Yeah.
So
What year was that? Was that 90s, 96 or something?
I would guess it was like 98. I would guess later than that. Yeah. Let's see. Wolf.
98.
94.
Oh yeah, you're right. 94. Okay. Just look at that poster. Nicholson, Pfeiffer. So good.
God, look at him in that makeup. That's insane.
What about the werewolf in Teen Wolf
Oh, well,
and his basketball
Teen Wolf.
costume or uniform?
Teen Wolf's incredible. I'll stand behind Teen Wolf too.
Oh yeah.
I never saw the show. I don't know.
Teen Wolf 2 is what's his face?
Jason Bateman.
Yes,
I
yeah.
hate myself.
I watched that new
Rachel,
action
stop
movie
it.
that he's in on
Carry On?
Netflix.
Was that good? It was like
so
There's
cheesy.
no way. There's no way.
No, it's
'cause I
it's-
love a bad action film. I
no,
will
if
watch
you like a bad
film.
action movie, I think it's a good sit. That's what I would say. Like
Yeah.
I love that dude,
enjoy a
Taron
good sit.
Egerton. He is a just handsome little short king, and I love
Very
him.
Yeah, he
totally.
is.
He's
Totally agree.
right up my alley. No, he's great. Yeah, it's stupid as hell, but not a single ounce of logic in the whole film, but it's kind of fun, and I like
I've been
Jason Bateman.
eyeballing it.
I like
if you
Bateman as a
want-
villain. That's a
Yeah.
vibe that I'm into.
He was.
They
great in
totally
that.
If you
reprised the
like
like VX Gas thing from like what is that fucking movie with Sean Connery?
It's one of the Seagal
The
movies.
Rock.
Oh
No.
yeah, you're right.
But
you're right.
but now the thing is like more fancy looking. His little glass, like when he.
Ooh.
If you want
gonna
bad Netflix action, just watch Extraction. That movie's sweet, and the action
Is it? Okay.
It's good. Look, the
Okay.
action I will stand behind. It's very good.
okay.
The movie
Sold.
itself is fine.
Yeah. Are we still naming werewolves we like? Because I thought of one.
Yeah.
I like
please.
the one. I like the werewolf alien from Star Wars. I just was watching like the original one in the cantina, but then also I was just watching, finally catching up on Skeleton Crew, and there's a pirate werewolf alien, and I like him.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Also,
Yeah,
pirates
they
just make
brought-
everything better.
I do love. I will never in my life will I ever watch one of those series, but I do love that they like forcefully brought back the Wolfman from that they had cut out of the original.
That one is so like deep Amblin vibes that if you like for your kids, like that would be a decent watch. It's very, very that.
That's the Jude Law one, the new one.
Yeah, it's
Skeleton
very
Crew.
Goonies-esque. Yeah,
Yeah, it's made for kids.
yeah. That being said, I will die on the hill of everyone should watch Andor. That's
Well,
Yeah.
Andor's awesome. Isn't it the second season's coming soon, right?
yes, I know.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
No,
It
that-
comes
that shows-
in
that-
May.
That show's good
September.
independent of being Star Wars. Like it has nothing to do
Yes.
like if you told me it had nothing to do with Star Wars, I'd still be like, that's a good show.
I don't think there's a single lightsaber in it, which I'm like, cool.
Yeah, there might be
Are
one, but-
lesbians.
I just don't care. I don't care anymore about Star Wars. I can't make my and I over the holidays because I bought YouTube TV so I could watch the NFL playoffs without like killing myself, and I just caught a couple of those like the new trilogy of Star Wars movies, and I was like, oh no, like
why would you do
I don't know
that to
about any of
yourself?
this like stuff that I was pretty sure I liked. No, I'm not so sure. I have two more emails. Sorry, Casey.
What?
Emily, because Oddity was my favorite movie of 2024, I took the recommendation from the person on the latest, this is not latest, but on the latest episode and watched Caveat, which I think had the same director. And oh boy,
Yes.
was I happy I took that rec. It satisfied
Yes,
that
it's so
creepy, what the fuck, weird vibe I got from Oddity. Did any of you end up watching Caveat? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sincerely,
Yes,
Emily.
I think I recommended it. That movie is
Yeah.
awesome. It's
I
really
remember
I
you
still haven't
recommended
seen it. All right.
get into
I'm writing-
you have
I'm writing it
Shudder.
down.
Get it. What are you doing?
I know,
wasting
I'm
your
writing
money
it
on
down.
Shudder,
I'm-
not watching Caveat.
I'm putting it down right now. Just give
right.
a man a break, you know?
Rachel, have you seen Little Odic?
Finally, the white man gets a break. Won't someone think of the upper middle class?
I got an email here from Caitlin Kissimmee. Speaking of the upper middle class, episode 10. John says he works in mental health. Parentheses, human observance. Episode 19. Everyone explains how the Google report works to John because Google searches and how Google works in general confuses John. Parentheses, undetermined amount of time. John works at Google, ... Interesting. I don't remember that, John. You worked in mental health?
Well, I wrote like a mental health blog for a doctor. I like ran his website.
No shit.
Yep. Real in touch with the mental health community back in the day.
Always what I think about you. All right, Casey, your turn now.
Oh, that was it for Threads. We only had the one.
Word up. I have not for a single moment looked at Instagram, so I don't know what we have.
Instagram
good.
roulette. Let's go.
Let's do it live.
Book of Dad. If you turned into a wolf man, what would be your unique feature that your loved ones would know it's you by? I guess it's the tattoo in the movie, right? I mean, I guess that would work.
Yeah.
I mean, the jaunty chapeau, obviously, because I would be
The hat?
a wolf lady with a hat.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what happens to hair. You could still wear the hat,
No.
you know?
I mean, that's how I cover up the depilatory situation that occurs.
Mine would be my belly, and I'd be the squinty werewolf when I lose my glasses.
All those glasses people.
You'd
Yeah.
be like the most huggable werewolf. I feel like you would be the friendly werewolf.
I was actually going to say the opposite, Casey, and I would be like the scrawny, like kind of borderline malnourished werewolf. You know,
You'd be like Weasel from the Suicide Squad. That's what I'm picturing now.
Yeah.
there you go. Just not terribly far off.
What's your least favorite werewolf movie?
Kind of all of
Oh,
them.
I don't know.
I wouldn't say
I don't know.
Twilight's a good pull. I wouldn't even say this is my least favorite, but I immediately thought of Silver Bullet, which is just like a trash.
Oh my
movie.
God.
I also think the original Howling is like just kind of sucks and is hardcore overrated. That's my hot take.
Yeah, definitely
Silver
the
Bullet
Howling
is
sequels.
Crazy if you haven't rewatched it in a long time.
haven't
Like,
seen
Yeah,
it
I watched that a
million
couple
years.
years.
No, I think
Last
it's worth
year.
it for the Busey and the camp and like for sure. Yeah.
it is so wild to watch with a modern sensibility. Like you just feel it's almost unbelievable that they made it.
Huge asks woman. I don't know how to say that. If you had to transform into an animal under a full
You found
moon,
my alt.
if you had to transform into an animal under a full moon, what would it be? I'm partial to like a fox. A fox kind of guy.
Yeah. I always liked an
probably-
otter. Love an otter.
Ah, adorable.
There you go.
When they float in the water and they hold hands. You ever
Yeah,
seen
they
these videos,
just-
John?
Yeah, kind of like chill.
Just tuck in.
I'd say a bear, but if you want specifics, probably a panda. I just want to play and eat bamboo.
I'm now
Yeah.
picturing a Casey were panda. It's a lot. There's a lot happening there.
Just be rolling down hills.
I assume this question
like a
is.
werebat and like just go goth around in the sky. That's my vibe.
I assume this
Nice.
question is for me specifically. If John was a werewolf, would you still love him? It depends. Like, would he all of a sudden not understand me? Because I feel like the second that started happening, I'd be
tough.
like, "You're on your own, brother. See ya."
Yeah.
Got a whole new take on blasted in the face in the end, but it's fine. I'm just moving forward.
God damn it. This is such a good question from Blob Nelson. Two questions. One, we don't have to answer. Does Wolfman have nards?
Sorry, John.
Pretty sure he did.
And
I
this
think
movie
so.
definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second question, is Lee Winnell a genius or a hack? He's so hit or miss.
I kind of feel like he's one of the like leading voices in terms of like
I'm
the different movements in horror we've had since.
Yeah.
in the
I'm
last
willing to
several
give him a
decades.
pass on this one because I feel like on average he's solid.
Yeah.
Upgrade
I
is so good.
Like
I
this,
was
I
going to
don't
say
write
he
him off.
contains multitudes, but
I don't write him off because of this movie, but if the next one is like this, then I'm like,
Yeah, he's kind of the working man's horror director.
I'll give him the same credit I gave Rob Zombie after I saw his first bad movie, and I was
I
like,
mean-
we'll see how the next one is. And then 10 movies later, it's like, okay, have fun, Rob Zombie, but I don't want to watch it anymore.
How do you feel
Yeah.
about like James Wan? Like if you give him a lot of space, you have to do the same thing with Lee Wan-el because they were like, you
Yeah.
know, working
Yeah,
together.
they're
And then
tight.
he's also gone off and made some really great films on his own as well.
Yeah.
So like, do you like Saw? Do you like Dead Silence? I mean, he had a hand in those things. Insidious, those, yeah.
I think what's interesting, and I think partially why there's so much expectation of this, is just that Invisible Man just blew people out of the water. Like,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
that movie
Well,
really
that
hit in a way I
movie-
don't think most people were expecting it to.
I forgot the movie he did before Invisible Man was that movie Upgrade, which is also awesome. And
Yeah, it's a
then
good
you know his directorial debut was Insidious Chapter 3. Like this is like his fifth movie. Like it's so I'm down. He's written a lot. Obviously, he's written way more than that and was instrumental, as Rachel notes, in a lot of the Wan stuff. But
Yeah.
He wrote a lot of those early films.
yeah, no, I'm pro Wano is what I say.
Well, that's what I mean about it. I think I see Wan-el as the working man's horror director. He's put in the time. He's done the dirty work, and he knows the genre, and he knows kind of the modern take on the genre. So I think he's pretty
Didn't
good.
he also do that movie where the guy was like a hardcore, like, what is that fucking movie?
Are you
Upgrade?
thinking of
Hardcore.
Upgrade? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
you mean the movie
talked
I
about
just
it.
mentioned?
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Upgrade
number 4.
fucks.
Thank you, Rachel.
Upgrade
Yeah,
fucks.
that movie's awesome. Exactly.
Yeah. So he knows how to make a gut punch of a film too.
Yeah.
There. I looked at his IMDb, and the thing he's developing now is a series based on Upgrade, which I'm like,
Oh,
sure, let's do it.
Interesting.
I
Yeah,
can
what's
use more
that?
cyberpunk in my life.
As long as
he's
once
also-
as long as once an episode he activates and kicks the shit out of 20 people, I'll watch it. I'm fine.
He's also attached apparently as to direct the Green Hornet and Kato, which like I don't think we need, but fine.
Yeah.
Can we have a little moratorium on comic book stuff? Please.
Well,
It
who's
depends
even like
because
the market for this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, who's the market for Green Hornet? But I would argue, I want to see what James Gunn's going to do for comic book movies. Because so far,
well,
with Peacemaker
sure.
and Creature
Peacemaker's great.
Commandos, he's keeping it weird. So I want to see what he keeps doing.
no, the Superman trailer. I'm ready to watch Superman. That's all I'll say.
And if you haven't watched it, Creature Commandos is pretty great. I love that.
Okay.
That's why I was thinking about Weasel.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Final. What the hell? What the hell just happened?
You're on a podcast, Eric.
Yeah.
No, that was so weird. My feed updated and like questions that were definitely asked just disappeared. Oh, here we go. Here's one of them. Teddy Kruger, which I enjoy his sir's name. Robert Eggers is now doing a werewolf film to drop Christmas 2026. Thoughts? I just
gonna
when
be
I read
slow.
that,
Like,
I heard a fart noise
Filmmakers who
in
I
my head.
have my goodwill he's like right up there. You know, whatever he puts out, I'm gonna put it in my eyes.
I don't think that I feel the same way, but I understand.
I'm annoyed that we're gonna have to build the fucking year ender 2026 around another Robert Eggers movie. That's
Yeah.
what I'll say. Just put it out a week ahead of time.
And my
So,
first
Eric-
thought seeing that news today was it's going to be slower than Wolfman.
Oh, I don't know. What are you talking? Like I know that
Pace-wise.
Nosferatu was a little slow. Did you feel like? I don't know.
Which
I
was
guess-
which was a slow pace too.
Nosferatu bored the shit out of me.
But
I'm
what
not-
about,
I'm not
the
slamming him, but-
Lighthouse. What about the Northman?
Lighthouse fucks. I've never seen The Northman.
I'm not
That's why I
knocking
like it.
Eggers. I'm just saying a lot of his movies have a languid pace to them. Is all.
That's fair.
I agree.
That's fair. I don't think of them as being slow though because they're so like hypnotic or like
That's
the
fair.
tension in the lighthouse is so like I was so anxious the whole time. I wasn't like, wow, this is
Yeah.
slow.
No, that's fair. I'm talking about more
Oh God,
of a
he's fucking
slow
the bed
journey.
again. Oh God.
Yeah.
Last from the night. It's not really a question. Our old friend Brian Wolford could have used more wolf and less man.
Yes.
There you go.
Put that on a
Take.
t-shirt.
I like it.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't even really get into the masculinity part of it, but in the context of what you said at the end, like how it ends, like it's almost even bleaker. Like there's some sort of like I feel
Yeah,
like
there's
every
no hope. Just
incel
fucking
is
kill
like
him.
Yeah.
this is what the like incel. This is what incels think feminists want. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely.
Yeesh. Yeesh.
Well, have at it,
Like it-
incels.
It would have made more sense if he like wasn't a self-aware character and he was letting himself slip into all that shit and not fighting
Right.
against it, right? Then the through line makes a little more sense.
Well, and that's this is where like I was surprised when you open the movie and it's like so clearly going to be like from his perspective. Or
but the problem with
he's the
that
central
is
character.
you want the audience to feel sympathy for him. Like I just feel like they kind of wrote themselves into a corner and then they just couldn't square all
yeah,
the
yeah.
thoughts.
No, that I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next week. What is next week?
Presence.
Presence. This is
We
a
we
theatrical?
should we should just put a pin in it because Eric,
Asterisk.
you should make sure you can see it. It's listed as limited, so I just don't know how wide it's going to go. This is the Steven Soderbergh haunted house movie.
Ooh, that's right.
It's 85 minutes long according to IMDb, so
Damn.
get excited.
Flirting with me.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see it, but I don't,
Is it out yet?
No, it's screening Thursday. I mean, it's screening tomorrow in the city, and then like it's, to the extent it's available, it should be available Friday.
I have screenings right now. Presence.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
you go.
great.
It's
Yeah, I got it.
well. Oh, you guys, I'm gonna have to go see it Friday night.
Oh, like you had other shit to do.
Yeah, like
just stop it.
your hot plans just got ruined.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay, never mind. No. There's daytime. There's daytime.
Yeah. Okay.
We can do it.
Let's go.
I will go to
All right.
the Regal at 12:55 p.m. on Saturday and watch it.
Mostly for you guys, but for the listeners, I did update the film calendar. So we have Presence, Companion, this movie Heart Eyes, which I know nothing about, but is definitely like
fun.
on posters and shit all over the theater. We then have like 4 or 5 open weeks, as far as I can tell. Some stuff might slot in, but like they actually bumped a lot of stuff to later. Unless Rachel, you think there's something I'm missing. Opus is the next thing, which is the
that looks
AO EBIT. Yeah. I think it's A24, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Sorry, I was thinking about when I talked to John Malkovich, and he basically was like being an anti-vaxxer. I was like, oh
No.
Was it for Opus?
no, it was
Oh.
for a different thing. But I asked him a question, and it like took a turn into like anti-vaccination stuff. I was like, oh
Nice.
no.
Yeah, so we've got 3 weeks in the theater, then we've got 4 weeks out of the theater, and then it's like we got a long run of a lot of theatrical stuff.
Yeah.
Some of which we may pull the plug on. We can discuss as we go.
Oh, Eric, did you need to get out your top 10 list?
No, I think we're good.
I just didn't know if this was going to be your night swim.
Night swim was better. No.
Oh boy. Yikes.
Yeah. That's a
You
statement.
see, John, the pool was haunted in that movie.
But the man
trauma
was
was
haunted
the
with the
pool.
wolf.
It's the pool, man.
Would you
thought
have liked
about
it
pool,
better
man.
if this was like the barn was the wolf?
The barn is trauma. I don't fucking know. All right, next week is Steven Soderbergh's.
Yeah, bro. I call him
Presence.
Steve, but you can call him Steven.
I'm sure John's gonna tell us a bunch of stuff about him. That sounds like the guy he knows about. And we're back, y'all. 2025. Let's do this shit. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
See us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.